The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
It's the SNL Hall of Fame podcast with your host, Jamie Dew. Chief Librarian Thomas Senna. And featuring Matt Ardill. And now, curator of the hall, Jamie Dew.
Thank you so much, Doug DeNance. It is a thrill to be back here in the SNL Hall of Fame, bringing to you the SNL Hall of Fame podcast. Once again, we're back for season 6. We really hope you enjoyed the draft episode. Now, why don't you come inside? You might notice I'm looking at your feet. Wipe them. Know what I'm saying? So there's that. The SNL Hall of Fame podcast is a weekly affair where each episode we take a deep dive into the career of a former cast member, host, musical guest, or writer and add them to the ballot for your consideration. Once the nominees have been announced, we turn to you, the listener, to vote for the most deserving and help determine who will be enshrined for perpetuity in the hall. And that's how we play the game. It's just that simple. I am so pumped to be working with Matt and Thomas again for another season. We've got a banger of a year. We've got some fantastic nominees and some really amazing special guests this season to nominate those nominees and build the case for them. We're also doing something a little different this year. We've got a new sister show that will be released on Thursdays or Fridays. I'm still flirting with that. If you have a preference, whether it's Thursdays or Friday, send me an email. The SNL Hall of Fame at gmail.com. That's right. It's a new email address because it's a new year. It's a new season and we need a new email address. So there's that. Now, I will say that the SNL Water Cooler will be a revisitation of the week's episode, and it'll also take a look at the episode of SNL, whether or not there are hall-worthy performances or Hall of Shame-worthy performances that we might analyze down the road when we nominate so-and-so. So there's that. What do you say we wander down the hall and talk to our good friend, Matt Ardill? I am going to pivot and make my way down the corridor here. There he is, leaning against the wall like a slug. Hey, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean, my boy. Matt, you've been around for 5 seasons at this point. This is the beginning of your 5th season. How are you doing, man?
Good. I'm happy to be here. And how about you, JD?
I am pretty much good. I was camping and I've been eaten alive. So my ankles are all itchy, but other than that, I cannot complain.
Yeah, we got some fresh air, got out of the city, so that's always good.
That's right. So what do you got for us this week?
Today I have Beck Bennett.
Nice.
5'8", born on the best day of the year in Willamette, Illinois. Shares a birthday with luminaries such as Julie Andrews, Jimmy Carter, and myself.
Hey.
October 1st, 1984. which makes me feel all the more useless because he's 10 years my junior and has achieved so much more than I have.
Oh, stop.
But he grew up a theater kid performing in children's theater at the Children's Theater of Winnetka. And in high school, played Jean Valjean at the new Tierra High School performance of Les Miserables. So now he did go on to attend University of Southern California and the USC School of Dramatic Arts, where he met and formed the sketch troupe Good Neighbor with Kyle Mooney, Nick Rutherford, and Dave McCary, all of whom went on to work at SNL. Now, after joining Good Neighbor, they created a series of sketch comedy shorts on YouTube, which kind of make the parodies that they did later on in SNL all the funnier. But this led to a series of ads where he's the at&t guy that had him interviewing children in a mock political talk show.
That's right. Yeah.
And now that went on to become 84 acting credits, 7 writing credits, 8 producing credits, 4 soundtrack credits, including possibly the only person who can adequately capture the wonder that is Launchpad McQuack on the DuckTales reboot. Now, if anybody could do a live action DuckTales, that would be him. I would love to see actually a Darkwing Duck reboot and bring back Beck as Launchpad, but not
You can only dream.
Yeah. Well, Disney Plus is going to need to mine that content eventually. But yeah, so he went on to marry Jesse Hodges, another actor, and they have a child together born March of 2022.
Well, I definitely miss him on SNL.
Yeah.
He was somebody that became, really grew into his role, I felt. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed him. And I also enjoy our friend Thomas Senna, who is in the conversation room with Kirstin Rajala right now, getting ready to teach us more about Beck Bennett. Matt, are you ready for that?
I am looking forward to it.
Well, let's get right to it.
All right, JD, Matt, thank you so much. Hey, guys, welcome to another season of the SNL Hall of Fame podcast. I am joined today by, we had to kick off the season of discussions with just an all-timer guest. So we're talking about all-timer nominees. Every week we talk about all-timer, people from SNL history. I had to kick it off this week with an all-timer guest. So joining me for the first discussion of Season 6 for our first nominee is the one, the only, the lovely world traveler, Kirsten Rajula. How's it going, Kirsten?
It's great. What an intro. Thank you very much. And I didn't
worked
know
on that
this
all
was
summer.
the first. Oh, my gosh. It's lovely to see your face and hear your voice. Yes, I've been traveling, and yes, I'm excited to be talking about SNL once again with some of my favorite people, the other super fans. And this episode is going to be great because we are talking about someone truly, truly deserving and who is so much fun to talk about because they are in everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Ubiquitous right there with of course, Beck Bennett, who's our nominee to kick off Season 6 of the SNL Hall of Fame. Kirsten, so I like to do the plugs at the top of the discussion, the way this is formatted. So, do you have anything? What's going on in Kirsten's world lately?
Well, for people in the Toronto area, my bestie and I do an event series, and it's intergenerational storytelling, female voices. So if you're in the Toronto area, it's generationwomen.ca. Please come and listen to women of all ages tell beautiful stories. It's a really fun event, and we would love the support.
Yes, that sounds awesome. Yeah, go check that out. Also, listen to Kirsten. You're probably going to be a panelist, I assume, on for Saturday Night Network's coverage on
Heck yeah.
season 50.
Heck yeah. Yep. I will. Yeah. Check us out on the Saturday Night Network, where we also cover all things SNL with an even larger group of super fans. That is also a fun one. So check that out. They have shows multiple times throughout the week.
Yeah, I love hearing Kirsten pop up, whether it's a hot take show or the
Roundtables.
The roundtables. Yeah, I love hearing Kirsten pop up. So check her out on the Saturday Night Network. But today we were chatting about our first nominee for season 6. That's the one, the only Mr. Beck Bennett. So a little bit of the Cliff's Notes here before we kind of get dig into Beck's SNL time. When he was a freshman in college, he met Kyle Mooney. They started doing sketch and improv together. It was at USC. They were part of Good Neighbor, along with Nick Rutherford and Dave McCary, Mr. Emma Stone himself, Dave McCary. Beck was in a run of at&t commercials in which he interviewed children. Do you remember these, Kirsten?
No, because I'm in Canada.
I was wondering. That's why I asked. I don't know what kind of TV y'all get up there.
We don't have AT&T, so yeah, I wouldn't have seen it, but I'm going to look them up.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a series of commercials. He sat there as like a children. It was like a circle of children. He would ask them different questions, I think pertaining to phone service or something like that. But so that's where I knew Beck. So when he got on SNL, I was like, oh, there's that guy from the phone commercials. That's crazy. He does sketch comedy. Okay, let's see what this is about. So yeah, you need to go YouTube some of those AT&T commercials, and you'll see Beck put on his commanding voice like he liked to do on the show. So he was making a nice career for himself when he got the call. So September of 2013, he began his SNL tenure along with his Good Neighbor cohorts, along with Kyle Mooney, debuted right then too. So Kirsten, like, what were any initial impressions you may have had of Beck Bennett when he first kind of got on your radar? What'd you think of him?
He's one of those people, it's a little hard to separate all of the characters he plays with who I imagine he is in real life. So I picture him as the kind of failure to launch jock at your high school reunion. But I know he's probably not. He's wonderful, I'm sure, and a very smart man, because clearly someone has got to be intelligent to pull off the kind of nuance and range that he does. But it's fun to think of him as that man-child that he always was, bit of a douche, often befuddled, making the wrong choices. Like, you love him, but you're like shaking your head. So he, at the beginning, kind of very quickly started to establish himself as like fitting into those slots. You saw him play a dumb kind of doofus dad, typical middle-aged white guy. And he did all of those things with enthusiasm. So while some people start off kind of awkward and they're trying to tentatively find their way at SNL, I wonder if it's because he had Kyle with him. Yeah. That they really jumped into it and their style of comedy pretty easily and quickly.
Yeah, they brought in a lot of good, like their Good Neighbors stuff, like those SoCals, like Inside SoCal was a Good Neighbor thing. You're right. Like he just played this doofus, what I like to call in the comedy realm, confidently dumb.
Yes.
I think that's like was Beck's, that was his forte in a lot of ways. Just such a confidently dumb guy, like sticking to his guns, but it's like, it's just the wrong way to go.
Yes.
And yeah, so good at that. Delving into his highlights, like, is there a certain role over his 8 seasons that you think he kind of did settle into?
Oh gosh, yes. Again, the confidently dumb. like where his colleagues, like other folks on the show, would go between, playing a bit of a dum-dum, but then also, they could play like a rocket scientist. He was typically, which is funny because I just said he has range and I still think he does, but he typically was in the kind of befuddled, even like a Mitch McConnell, he was kind of blubbering, right? And so he always nailed that I'm the last one who gets the joke, but I'm going to laugh as confidently as the person who told it. Yeah, he brought that spirit to so many things. Even when it was him doing the SoCal stuff or, kind of playing teenage or child roles with Kyle, always kind of a bit of a doofus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he also was able to play like sometimes kind of more of a straight dad kind of character. Mm-hmm. But usually when he played a dad, it was like from some sort of angle, like a downtrodden dad or a dumb dad or something like that. But he settled so nicely in his 8 seasons. Indispensable, in my opinion, toward the end there, I think.
Absolutely. Like a real cornerstone of the cast, and a combination of, physical comedy, absurdity, but then also subtlety. Like there were really small choices that he made that are what brought those kind of doofus characters to like. Even the way he'd hold his face or kind of, the intonation. Certainly Kyle was the, crown wearer of intonation and flat affect, but he was right there with him. So a lot of subtle things that they did. So it's funny because at one point he's playing, office boss baby, and he's, flinging his limbs around, but then he can also just with one kind of slack jaw do something completely different. Right.
Yeah, that office boss, I want to like kind of start getting into his actual work, and that baby boss, like he debuted that in his first season. I think he might have auditioned with that. It seems like, but it was Mr. Patterson, baby boss. Like, was it the physicality of Beck just totally shine through instantly, Kirsten?
100%. Yeah, he ended up doing that 4 different times. The creepiest one was with Cameron Diaz, because they were actually talking about relations.
Yes.
And her giving him a bath in the kitchen sink, and that they were going to try and make a baby, or they were pregnant. It got a little awkward.
I think they were
there.
Pregnant.
Yeah, a little awkward.
Well, I'm not worried. You're going to be a great mother. Aww. Come here, you.
Could we maybe just do a little toast here? Congratulations.
A toast. Oh, look at that. A lemon. Been meaning to try one of these. It's good. It's tart.
But I like that they kind of put him back into other situations, in the office, and he nailed it. Anyone who has spent a time around a toddler, baby or toddler, instantly is taken back to the way that they fumble with objects, the way they are amazed by holding something up in front of their face, distracted, the way they move around, slide downstairs. Like, it's such a studied performance, which sounds hilarious to say, but if you know, you know. He nailed that baby. He nailed that damn baby character so well. And
Lack
it was such an interesting... Yeah.
When he's trying to give high fives.
Oh my God. The keys to distract him, trying the lemon. Like, there are so many little moments. And it's such a weird concept, but it worked. And, it did feel at times, if they had, they had like a Josh Hutcherson, and they had Cameron Diaz, and people that they're not always building a sketch around, picking on Josh a bit, but that he would, be the character of, and they'd kind of put those other folks in reaction to him, was a great sketch for that to happen in, if you needed to support that type of host.
Yeah, he always he had that great timing, and he knew how to deliver, and he almost played against himself, as you alluded to, where he would, as the boss, he would speak very like boss-like, like try to be commanding, and he would say things that were commanding, but then he would do and say things 1 second later, of course, that were baby-like. So Beck got that. He was able to shift back and forth between like, oh, we're so proud, we're going to be we're expecting, we're going to be raising a family, and then he sees a lemon, and it's like, oh, I've always wanted to try one of these, and then
let's appreciate how tough it would be, like to the duality of those two things, acting like a baby but sounding like a CEO.
Yeah,
that's just weird and wild, and I don't know that we all are appreciating how darn tough that would be.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was probably the first character, certainly first recurring character that got attention for sure. You could go check out, that's early Beck in like season 39 and on. So that was like the baby boss. what else with Beck kind of like shows what we started the show off of in terms of like his role and everything?
You know what I do notice is a lot of my favorite things about him were pre-tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Which says nothing negative about any of his non-pre-tapes, but I noticed that a lot of things I loved were pre-tapes. And I mean, this is the era of Vine. Like, it's the era of people documenting things in video format. And I think him and Kyle having come up on kind of written, taped format, like SoCal and all these things, that really was where they were strong. One particular character that is also with Kyle were those sitcom parodies. We saw those in season 39 was a cut, actually, with the Andrew Garfield one, Wings. And then we had season 40, we had Bad Boys with Chris Pratt. And then in season 43, we brought it back when it was Beers with Larry David. These sketches, they appeal to a certain type of person who can appreciate these. I'm one of them.
Did you get Full House up in Canada?
Yes.
Okay, I was
Full
just
House,
checking.
like the TV show? Yes, yes.
You said you never saw Beck and AT&T, so I had to check.
Well, we just don't have AT&T.
Fair.
Yes. These sitcom parodies, everything about them, yes. Much like those interstitials, like they've just cut to a castle. They'd cut to B-roll of Loch Ness Monster, like the most random, silly things. The laugh track, the clap track, like all of these things. Even how they would say, let's, I need to talk to you privately. And they'd move one step to the right. Everything had a moral or a lesson. It was very corny. They were pretty amazing.
What is that sound, and who do I have to pay to make it stop?
I'm practicing my clarinet for when my cousin CJ gets here.
Oh yeah, think he'll be able to take care of our fish when we go on our bike ride tomorrow?
I hope so. CJ loves fish.
Great. In the meantime, do you mind taking that thing outside?
Hey.
Those, I feel like, are something that perhaps they brought to the show that they had tested and played with prior to as an idea, and we saw it a few times. I would take 10 more, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Bears one with Larry David got oddly dark, so that was yeah, that was really funny. I rewatched the Chris Pratt one, the Bad Boys one as well. All those like Full House, Family Matters kind of tropes, like just using. So it's one of those things where like, so you would watch Full House, right? And then they would do like, it was almost like a 3-minute skit, and it would involve like a Michelle or somebody sitting at the dining room table just eating a cupcake, and the cupcake was going to be like a parable for a lesson that they were going to serve you in like that 3 minutes, and it made no sense to the story before or after. They just nailed it so hard. Like you could tell, I think they probably did, you know, as a comedy team before they got to SNL, they'd been working together for 6 years. So you can tell that was built up over 6 years. As somebody who spent a lot of time in Southern California, I'm from New Mexico, but I've spent a lot of time in SoCal. Those inside SoCals were like spot on. Like the intonations with Beck and Kyle, and even Jonah Hill when he would come on, like they just played those SoCal guys perfectly. You ever encountered a SoCal guy like that?
I'm familiar with the archetype.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're right. They're so studied. And that's probably why we love them as a pair, and probably why they get along so well as a comedy duo and friends, is that there's so much discipline and rigor to what they do. Like, again, it comes off as really goofy and silly and fun, but they've clearly done their homework.
Tonight we're coming to you live from Keith's dad's condo, where he's having a nice little kickback.
All right, so for our top story for tonight is Amanda Burns' little sister Sarah is moving back home, and I heard she still looks good.
I'd hook up with her for sure.
Yeah, me too. Or if I get the chance to.
Right.
All right, so in other news, me, Andy Pierce, and Scott, we want to start our own clothing line.
All right, so now it's time for Meet the Boys.
Let's go, yo!
Meet the boys. Meet the boys.
The wardrobe, the script, their hair, their wigs, like everything And then you have someone like Larry David and then Jonah Hill, as you mentioned, and like other, great comedic talents who clearly appreciate what's happening and want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I know when they went to USC, I'm sure they came across guys like that and they're like, oh yeah, this is fodder. We're creating characters off these guys.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, those inside SoCal again. They kind of SNL did the right thing with Kyle and Beck. Like they gave them their playground immediately from season 1, and Dave directed a lot of those. So you saw the good neighbor influence immediately in season 39.
I think they were a package deal.
Yeah, they were. But I feel like too, like it started off that way. But I feel like Beck really started carving out his niche. Like at a certain point, I forgot that they were a package deal initially. Like I always knew them, like Beck and Kyle, like of course. But at a certain point, Beck kind of became his own man. To me, big time.
He had a broader appeal. Like Kyle was almost so good at awkward that it probably or possibly prevented him from playing the everyman. Because he was, physically, he looked at times a bit nerdier. He really leaned into it. He was letting his hair grow and he had glasses and stuff, where Beck physically could be more like your middle-aged dad in the minivan. So that potentially made a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Just the amount of roles that he could play. I always thought of them as a pair, but then realized how close they were after the fact. So I didn't know them from Good Neighbor. That is all stuff that I discovered after. And even going back to watch videos, like even when they sit together on the couch for interviews, they're like 12-year-old boy best friends. Like they're all like climbing on each other and pretzeled, and there's a closeness and a comfort that is really quite lovely.
Yeah, and that's a good point about Beck being the one of the two to have more broad appeal. And then he started, when he was 4th season, they started giving him a lot of really important political impressions too. I mean, they gave him Vladimir Putin.
Now, do I think your new president is perfect? Perhaps not. But don't worry, I'll get him there. Donald, let's talk as friends. You're not off to a great start, man. I thought you'd be better at this. However, I'm glad to see so many people showed up to your inauguration. Oh, wait, that's the Women's March. Here is inauguration.
Vladimir Putin's such a stone-faced person in real life that Beck had to find the goofiness. Like that was a out-and-out caricature, which I think was hilarious that Beck just found something, a kernel of like a caricature with Putin.
Yep. Takes his shirt off, wears the gold necklace, rides in on a horse. Yep.
And he did that 9 times, and to me they were all great. I always loved seeing Beck pop up as Putin. He would kind of have that like swang, or how did he move as Putin? Just moving his shoulders, like try to just something
like he
about
could off people.
Yeah, and he would always talk about that. Like, of course I poisoned him. What do you mean? Like,
yeah.
But just to because you have to find something like some sort of kernel from such a stone-faced person like that. So I really appreciated that, and that goes to show that you don't have to look like the person or sound like the person or to find an angle on an impression.
Right. Yes, I agree. Now, sometimes looking like a Mike Lindell or Mitch McConnell also helps. But he achieved both in those two, because he not only was able to achieve somewhat a similar look, but captured their ridiculousness. Mike Lindell's manicness, and Mitch McConnell's like blubbering. I can't even. He's just blubbering, no chin goof. And he captured them both in look, but also in impression very well. He did a lot of impressions. If you look on his page, there are a lot. Did he nail all of them? No, but I always felt like he was game. I think SNL felt that he's going to find that thread and pull it, as you say. So he didn't always need to look like the person, because he was going to find something to bring it to life. Yeah,
it was like steady-handed commitment, too. Like, you got to be committed to just sit there for a cold open as Putin behind a desk and with your shirt off, showing your chest hair and showing... Beck had some odd physicality where he almost like had bear-like qualities. And you didn't always see that in him until he wore a tight shirt or something. And I'm like, this guy is kind of like filled out.
Barrel chested.
Barrel chested. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have commitment to show on camera that your barrel chested self, I guess.
Yep. For millions of people. No big deal. He also was willing to look the fool.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several people that do that, but he took it to like a real haughty level. One of my favorite sketches is Undercover Office Potty.
Need to go to the bathroom, but you have a lot of work to do, and it's all the way down the hall.
Yep.
We've all been there before. Why don't you check your lamp?
Huh?
Yeah, check your lamp.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Do your business.
What do you mean?
Use it as a toilet.
Oh, now I get it.
Introducing the Undercover Office Potty, the only toilet that looks like a lamp, so you can go whenever you want and no one has to know. Just open it up and go to town. It'll be our little secret.
Thanks, Undercover Office Potty. I did good.
This is season 43. It was another pre-tape. It's so silly, but it checks the boxes on all of the things that we've just talked about. He's your average generic middle management position in an office, surrounded by bland cubicles, and he's got to get the report done. And the premise of this is that he's so busy, wouldn't it be great if he didn't have to walk all the way down the hall to the washroom and could just make use of portable toilets disguised as office components, like your plant holder. Or it becomes even crazier and they are comically oversized, staplers and such. And clearly the room starts to smell and people start to notice, but he's just so committed to it. And it's a great script, a great script.
Mm-hmm. And just like almost with a straight face, like selling this beyond ridiculous premise.
Yeah.
That's some of my favorite.
I said plants and it's lamps, by the way. It's lamps.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, you knew what I meant. But yes, all of a sudden he's surrounded with all sorts of lamps. And the line like, well, it wasn't me. I used the bathroom all the way down the hall. And just his, again, commitment to, dumb, like as you say, confidently dumb. Mm-hmm. So stupid. Of course, people are going to notice. But he is owning it until the last possible minute when someone starts actually looking at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Season 43, episode 16, you can find Undercover Office Potty. Go check that out. That's a classic Beck one. We had talked about him playing dads, and I love, he would tap into different archetypes of the dad. And one of them that I loved, that I think was underappreciated. I think it just sort of, some people didn't get it. I noticed with some online reviews, I go to one SNL a day, which great people, they helped me a lot with just looking at their website and research. But the person who covered Boop It on one SNL a day, no offense to them, they clearly didn't get the sketch. And this, to me, this is a perfect archetype, Kirsten, of a downtrodden, recently divorced dad that's at his rock bottom through the form of an ad for a child's toy.
Boop it. But don't get one wrong.
Boink it. Maybe next time, Jenna.
See who can boop it best and be the boop it boss.
My turn. Jenna just went. I was after her.
I think it's Tyler's turn, Dad.
Tyler, your mom just called. She wants you to go home. She wants you at home.
She does?
Yeah, bye. See ya. There's the door, bud.
Bye, Tyler.
Now that I can actually concentrate, I can do it.
Concentration's the name of the game.
Listen, is anyone truly equipped to handle young children? No, there's no manual. You get them and you figure it out. I mean, I remember with my son and his friends making gingerbread houses and wanting to just scooch them out of the way and do it better myself. So I think we can all feel kind of close to the notion here, which is, let me do it. I can't suffer watching you try to do it. Mm-hmm. And this is taken to comically new heights with this bop it send off, boop it, which if anyone's ever played it or not, it's a gadget with a variety of buttons on it, and you have to hit them as quickly as they illuminate or trigger.
I forgot that was a real thing now that you mentioned
Yeah,
it.
it's a real thing.
Okay.
Bop-its, yeah. And it's you can see how you might get addicted to it, especially if there ain't much else as they're setting up here going on in his life.
Exactly.
He clearly has the kids for this period of time. He's not making good choices, and he's going down a bit of a hole with, I think he's drinking in the sketch too, isn't he? He's like really going off the rails.
I love how he just kind of takes a little sip and then he starts playing the game again. Like he has this scotch or something.
Yeah, he's rude to the kids. He's like sending them out. All of a sudden, all parenting is out the window. The desperation there.
Yeah.
Again, as we said, he can play part douche, part, fail or thrive, part man-child, like all of these things. There's the alchemy of it represented in, a dad type.
Yeah, he's trying to impress his kids because he probably feels like his kids look at him as this loser. So he found something. He's like, I can impress my kids by doing this. And then he gets addicted because you're right. Like, that's the only thing that he had. One of my favorites is when his wife, played by Heidi Gardner, picks them up. And then she's kind of like, have they eaten? And then he pauses and she's like, and then he stops and he's like, hold on, baby. Let's try to work it out. And she's like, ugh. Like, and she just walks away. Like, I almost feel sorry for him in a way. Like, I'm sure he's this loser and she has every right not to be with him. But Beck makes him almost like somewhat sympathetic in a way, but you still get that like there's a reason why he's divorced.
Listen, there are people that stay in those relationships, and that's why.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I think a
gem.
spiritual successor to that was from the following season with that December to Remember fake ad. Yeah, I loved it. And I think this one was actually well received because we know those commercials, we know everything. So I think this one is actually like a well received fan favorite. Like, Kirstin, did you like this one when you saw it?
I love it. And have we not all at some point looked at the screen during a commercial like this and thought, that's not how real life happens?
Yeah.
If my partner went out and bought an expensive car on their own and surprised me with it, which is in every romance novel and every Hallmark, like this is a thing, right?
Go
like,
get an oversized bow.
Yes, exactly. Someone has said, that's not real life. And not only is that the case, they then really go into the sub-basement of it's not real life, and they expose that he hasn't worked. The mom is having affairs. Yes. The neighbor lent him money. The neighbor is probably one of the people having the affairs. And so then it blows everything up and we get real life.
Merry Christmas, baby.
Are you kidding me, Nathan? Did you seriously buy a car without asking me?
Well, because for Christmas...
This is a major purchase.
Right, but it was a December to remember.
It's a Lexus. We don't have the money for this, Nathan.
We don't?
No, we don't. Your father doesn't... Your father hasn't worked since last March.
What?
Yeah, COVID has hit a lot of people hard, and I'm no exception.
Nathan, you got fired in March 2019. COVID had nothing to do with it.
He probably has like a weird attraction to his son's girlfriend.
And, it's still got the Christmas or holiday sparkle on it, like every car commercial we've seen at the holidays where... Really, are you going to buy a car and try and surprise your partner? That is just not fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
It's not being a good partner. It was very much, it's got to have just been made up by car companies. Like, I don't know anyone that really does that.
It doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. Unless you're like a Jenner, right? Or a celebrity, and then you have multiple cars and who cares? But that's not real life.
Yeah. And I just love how, confidently stupid. And he's like, no, it's okay because of the APR. Do you mean APR? He even looks at his son, and I love it. Timothy Chalamet was his son. He looks at his son, and like, looks like your old man's busted, and he kind of gave this look like almost like a childish sort of.
Oh, I love it because he goes, I guess your old man got busted, and he tries to make a face like whatever. Brilliant.
It's probably not the first time that he surprised her with something dumb.
Exactly. He thinks he's gonna win.
Yeah.
That's that confidently dumb. He thinks this is going to save everything. I'm not working, whatever, but guess what? We're going to drive in style. She's going to be so happy. And he's not making good choices once again.
Yeah, to be fair, in his defense, if I thought that Lexus only cost $4,000, I would pounce on it too and surprise my wife.
Again, dumb, but yes. Yeah. It's not that much, babe. Because that's how much cars cost.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, that was great.
Boy.
December
Again, this is going back to
his last season.
High school reunion. You think you've won and you've got the catch of the year, and he's a bit of a loser.
Yeah.
Bit of a loser.
Yeah, absolutely.
Poor Heidi's relationship. Look at her having to sleep with old Mikey Day neighbor.
Yeah, what a great sketch.
I'm going to pick up on another Kyle Mooney partnership because why not? And that would be the brothers. Here's some real physical comedy. Now they're playing teens.
Seems like 11 would be the age.
Yeah.
I don't know why I hone in
tweens.
on that.
Yeah. Because they're still self-conscious enough to walk around without pants. Probably. So the setup, and they've done a few of these. The setup is, where we see a living room. We've got the host as the dad figure. Cecily is the mom. They're entertaining some guests. And they invite their 2 young sons downstairs to meet the guests. Beck and Kyle come on down wearing T-shirts and tighty-whities. And they're wrestling their way down the stairs. Mass chaos. Pictures are falling off the wall. And they are not listening. They're clearly in their tussle. And so the dad figure, it was both one time Liev Schreiber, I think I'm saying that right, and James McAvoy, who plays a new dad, which is they make some fun jokes about, and sprays them inside with a water hose to calm them down. And they are being the most obnoxious, competitive, brother rivalry duo possible.
How's got into y'all tonight?
It's his fault.
He's a loser.
Oh, I'm a loser? Well, you're an accident. Dad, tell him.
No.
Wait, what?
Oh my God. Jared, don't do this.
Tell him, Dad.
No.
What's he talking about, Dad?
God. Okay. Yeah, Spence. Initially, we weren't planning on having a second.
Why are you telling him this?
The guests are appalled and want to leave. The parents are not fazed at all. And it's hilarious because we see them get blasted in the face and body with this water sprayer. And
That's
in the second one, indoors, which I think 80 makes a comment about.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, they actually bring out the leaf blower, and there's some hilarious physical comedy as their faces are being, blown away by this leaf blower. And, hey, look at the dance, like this, if you have a sibling, or clearly you are probably familiar with this anyways, that kind of competitive spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're trying to one-up each other is on full display here. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's spot on. If you've ever been around 2 brothers around the same age, let's say 9 and 11 or something like that, like this is so spot on. Oddly competitive. You're right. Like when the one with Liev Schreiber, like, yeah, they were like one of them made up a dance, like Beck's character made up a dance, and then Kyle's like, no, that's my dance. And then they start fighting. It's like, this is the dumbest thing. Who cares? It's like a little, but that's how little kids are.
Is this the dance?
Yeah, exactly. But I've seen little kids in my life around the same age fight like that. And you're just sitting there like, God, this does not matter. Like, why are you guys like this?
Yeah.
It's just little boys. This is hyper little boys. Like it's perfect.
If we look at a theme here, they really are creating moments out of very everyday scenarios. Mm-hmm. Where you have someone like a Will Forte who does really absurd stuff, really absurd, or a Bill Hader and all his beautiful character work. These, Beck and, Kyle as well, but they really excel at the everyday life situation and scenario. Mm-hmm. And dissecting that and finding the funny in it.
Yeah, well, as you put it earlier, it feels studied. All these everyday characters feel so studied. It almost feels like Beck and Kyle I know they met when they were 18, 19, but it almost feels like Beck and Kyle knew each other when they were both like 11 years old, and they actually behaved like this.
Yeah.
That's how lived in it feels.
Absolutely.
I don't know, because Weekend Update, I feel, was that when Beck actually went on Weekend Update as a character, which he wasn't like, I don't think he made his bones on Weekend Update, but I think there were some Weekend Update things that he did that I liked. Have you ever met somebody, Kirsten, who's like sees the world differently? I just see things a little differently. Beck playing Jules was perfect to me. Another perfect archetype that he nailed.
Yep. I think it's because he plays subtlety so well, it doesn't lend well to Weekend Update.
Yeah.
So when he does find a character that is bigger and bolder than that, like our friend Jules, who I could see this character being played by like a Fred Armisen also.
Yeah.
Then he nails it. It was a little bit too like his theater student, right? Where playing in this kind of word salad lingo land where they're saying a lot of nothing. Like Jules was asked about economics at some point.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an answer to that. Come on. He's not a free-thinking economist. No, he was frustrating. He's one of those people where you wonder, how do you pay your rent?
Yeah. He said that at one point he said that his dad invented OxyContin.
Oh God.
so I think he kind of slipped that in there.
Yeah.
So he's free to explore the ideas that everybody else is afraid to. But we know somebody like that. I live an hour from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and in Santa Fe, that's the archetype. There's so many people who are just like, I'm a free thinker and I'm a new age kind of,
And they have to tell you that.
And they have to tell you that.
Just tell me, are you going to watch like the red carpet?
Oh, I'll watch and scoff, Colin.
Cool.
Yes, they all ask, who are you wearing? What I want to know is, who are you being? I want to tell every actress I see, take your clothes off. I want to see what's underneath.
Yeah, no, you can't do that, man. That's really bad. Really bad.
Society wants to paint them like little dolls, but they should be like the dolls I had as a child, whittled from driftwood with very realistic genitalia.
That feels regional, yes, because I can't say that I know too many people like that or that we have too many parts of Canada like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as you describe that vibe down in those areas, I can see them being there for sure. It also feels kind of California, but it feels like those folks have a lot of Etsy stores.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
Selling their dream catchers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think you're right. Like maybe his style wasn't necessarily like totally. I'm just gonna shine every week on Weekend Update. Like I think a Heidi probably shines on Update more. Ego does. Bobby Moynihan probably did a little bit more shining on Update. But yeah, something like Jules. I think if you give him the room to breathe a little bit, I think that was his highlight to me. From Weekend Update for sure.
Yep.
Is there anything else that popped out to you? Well, fun. This was fun. I gotta say, Beck, underappreciated, and sometimes I don't know if I overuse, but it's just like somebody like him. I really think because he was on the cast with Kate, Cecily, 80. He was on the cast with a lot of like big characters on the cat, but I think Beck was always just that almost steady presence. So it was fun to revisit him and be like, well, he actually did a lot.
He's in so much that I would have needed a lot more time to rewatch everything. I would have to just watch whole episodes to catch everything he's in, for sure. There is one more that I rewatch, and that's called First Impression. Another pre-tape. Jason Momoa, season 44. Melissa Villaseñor is his girlfriend, and she's going to introduce Beck, her boyfriend, to her parents who are coming to their house for the first time. So we've got Jason Momoa and Heidi as the mom, and he's feeling very nervous. He's got a new shirt on. As she opens the door and turns around to make the intro, he's not there, and we don't understand why until we realize that he's hiding, and he uses a really funny child's voice.
That's weird. He was here just a second ago.
Well, we can't wait to meet him.
Michael, honey.
I bet you can't find me.
What? Was that him?
What did he say?
Come find me, I'm hiding.
Michael, stop it. Okay, come out here and meet my parents.
Where am I?
Honey, what's going on? I think he's just nervous. He really wants to impress you. Why would that impress us?
Does he hide a lot?
No, he's never done this before.
Bet you can't find me.
Well, I bet I can.
This ignites something in Jason Momoa's dad character, who takes that as a real challenge, and he starts running throughout the house following the sound of Beck's voice in this really silly, hee hee, come find me, I'm hiding. I mean, Melissa's confused, Heidi's confused. Dad is right into this to the point where he's punching through walls and ripping things apart. As it turns out, Beck has taken off his shirt, greased up his upper body, and has tried to jam himself behind the TV entertainment shelf, and he is stuck, so they have to help him.
Yeah.
But it ends in a really fun way because he says something very heartfelt about the lengths he's gone to try to impress the parents, which strikes a chord with Momoa, and they end up, basically thinking this is all wonderful.
Yeah.
But it was so strange. Again, taking a very simple moment, meeting the parents, and taking it to a completely bizarre place. I love it. I can just hear his voice in my head. The hee hee, come find me.
Like a little kid or a little elf
like an elf. Yeah, it's not even a kid. You're right. It's like a little elf-like being. Yes.
Yeah. No, that was perfect. Like, yeah, from like dumb dad character to like kind of well-meaning dumb boyfriend who missed the mark kind of thing. Like, yeah, that was perfect. And I just loved how of course, like the comedy in it, I just loved just Momoa's character, instead of being put off by it, he's like, all right, I'll play, I'll dance. I'm buying into this premise, so let's go. And then that was just perfect Beck right there.
It was great for Momoa too, and played against character. I think they even made him look like, dad bod too.
He was wearing like a sweater.
He had a big cardigan. I think they'd given him like a fake kind of dad bod belly. And he was also fantastic in it. Yeah,
I mean, he looked like a boring dad who like used to be a professional wrestler or something.
Yes, yep. Which is maybe this is part of it, right? Like as you say, he was kind of boring, and this kind of reminded him of like how crazy he was in his youth, and he was like, right into this game, I'm going to find you, and his competitive spirit was triggered.
Yeah, that was great. Season 44, First Impression. That's the Momoa episode. That was great. One other one that I want to explore, and this ties into kind of a theme when I was thinking about Beck, is his very last episode, the Anya Taylor-Joy episode, season 46. Beck had a great night. So he did the sketch. His very last sketch was him as Vin Diesel, talking about like the movies and just describing all this stuff about the movie going experience.
The sticky floors, the $8 bottle of water, the nachos, the hand dryer in the bathroom that's louder than a choo-choo train, the second concession stand that's never been open, the little boy at the urinal with his pants all the way down, the bird that's trapped inside the lobby. It's truly incredible. That's right. I'm talking about the movies.
But like almost the chef's kiss, like the perfect ender to Beck's kind of dumb dad archetype was this one picture with dad. So a few years ago, there was this, dumb kind of trend of dads posing for pictures with their like daughter's prom date, holding a gun. And the joke was supposed to be in real life, like, he, if this guy does anything to my daughter, I'm going to shoot him. So I love that they just played off that. Who else could they have gotten other than Beck to do this, Kirsten?
That's just it. This is the ultimate send-off because he is playing all of the things we've talked about. The dumb, confidently dumb dad. Definitely a bit of a douche idiot. Can't make the right decisions, man-child. Like, he ends up shooting himself in the doink.
All right, now scooch together and smile. Okay, 1, 2.
Whoa!
Oh my
What? I saw it on the internet. It's funny.
Chris, I told you that we weren't doing this.
Oh, come on. It's funny.
Dad, how is it funny?
Well, you know, it's like, hey, mister, you better not try anything or I'll shoot you. And people are doing it. It's a thing, you know? It's like, bang!
Dad! Stop.
Oh, come on, relax.
It's really quite brilliant. It's a great one. And you're right. It kind of summarized all of these things that we've said about him and that, you know, all of the skills that he has and brings to the table. So it was fantastic. I also do like that Andrew and Heidi are basically keep telling him that they're going to have sex that night. He's begging them not to.
It's like, will you promise me that you're not going to have sex tonight? And then Andrew's just like, we will, but sure. Yeah. And like,
yeah. And 80 is playing the wife, right? And she's got the cooler box with just the pieces of him left. Anya's playing the OR doctor.
Yep.
It was hilarious. Man, he's great.
Such a perfect send-off.
Yeah.
And they didn't have an official send-off, quote unquote, for Beck, but between this and that Vin Diesel one, like, what a great last episode. And that made me think, like, I think Beck left when he was at his peak. I think he left on a high note. Like, he was trending upward, almost proving himself to be arguably, he and Kate maybe at that time, the two most indispensable people on that cast. And Beck really did leave. I mean, he could have been on the cast even right now, and he still had a lot to give. So it was interesting to me that he got better, where sometimes you see cast members kind of like peter out toward the end of their tenure. But Kirsten, to me, like, I don't know if this is something that when I say it that causes a light bulb moment, but I think he was peaking when he left.
I mean, that's when you want to go out, usually,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder what role he'll play in season 50.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Do you think, like, is he the type of former cast member that you think will pop up in season 50 or over the years? Like, or will people be clamoring for, like, a Beck Bennett? Like, we need to see Beck in season 50 kind of guy?
He's underrated. I think much like Taran Kalam, he's probably not going to be asked to host, which is a real shame. I don't agree with it. But those two were both very much glue players within their respective casts. And both underrated. They have some serious fans. And if you objectively, they were fantastic cast members and have great characters, great impressions, all of the above. So they might pop up in season 50. I don't know that they'd be asked to host. And I don't think he would. I would love to see it. I'd be pleasantly surprised. But maybe if he had a big movie come out, you know, like if something else changed in his post SNL career, that might make a difference. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah. I at least want to see him pop up in some capacity.
Yeah.
If he, at the very least, Beck doing something on the actual celebration, on the actual 50th celebration.
Oh, yes.
In February.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe not host. I wasn't like maybe setting my sights that high. But he needs to be back and do something. And I think people will remember, like, oh, yeah, you know who was a great cast member? Beck Bennett.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, too, like, thinking about his career, it's been 3 years since Beck has been off the show. Where do you see his career heading? Is he like a leading comedic actor? Is he better as an ensemble? Like, what do you think the entertainment world could have in store for Beck?
I do think it's ensemble. I can see him in one of many ensemble comedies. I think he'll always get slotted into office type situations. He's just that character at the office, the confidently dumb guy, or a neighbor. I don't know that he's any type of leading character that way. I think he's a little too funny, goofy. Again, this is not a complaint. This is just
not at all.
My take on how I perceive that industry working. Kind of how Kristen, kind of when she first left, she started popping up in those coworker type roles. So similar to that. There's also, you know, you look at I Think You Should Leave and potentially popping up on shows like that and some of the more creative shows that clearly have more control and are doing some really interesting things. Because he does those characters so well. I think he's just got to find that. Maybe him and Kyle are sitting on a pile of scripts right now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
They could be doing a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know about. And I do know he does a lot of voice work, I believe, right? He does
that
a ton
makes
of
sense
voice work.
with that booming voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So he does a lot of voice work, which, hey, is a really nice way to earn your pay, right?
I thought I heard him on a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial recently. Playing like this big buffalo. I watch a lot of sports, and so I during March Madness, I swear I heard Beck's voice like constantly.
Yeah. I think he does a lot of voice work, which totally respectable way to pay those bills and remain in that industry. So maybe has he been on a show like Bad Mouth? I feel like those are his people.
Oh yeah. Oh, Big Mouth.
Yeah. You like call Bad Mouth? Yeah, Big Mouth. Sorry.
With Nick Kroll.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels like if he hasn't, that he should.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Like more of an ensemble, which we always say, that's not a bad thing. No. Not everybody can be Will Ferrell, and just be like this leading man. Like I think it's a really great thing, and I think Beck has a lot to give the comedy world. And I'm excited to see what he does moving forward. So Kirstin, now's the time. We're now talking to SNL fans, SNL Hall of Fame listeners, the water cooler. Why do you think they should hold Beck Bennett in high regard when they think about the history of SNL?
All right. Reliability in that ensemble cast is huge. That's why he's in so many. Consistently being able to play a variety of roles with that type of range. We talked about the absurd and the subtlety and this really beautiful balance he achieved at all of the characters it needed to portray those things. He also dipped his toe in political, which is a huge part of the show. He played pretty important political characters. I mean, come on, Putin, Mitch McConnell, even not important ones like Mike Lindell, who are we even calling him in the political realm? He pops up there.
Yeah.
The physical comedy, it goes right back to season 1, episode 1, and Chevy pratfalling, right? Like physical comedy is a huge part of what is part of SNL's DNA. And then the writing, he had a great comedy writing partner in Kyle, and I'm sure there were others that I'm not aware of that are the actual writers on the show, but they were writing great content for themselves. They were dabbling in pre-tape, they were doing great sketch work. So I think that versatility cannot be downplayed. And whether he's underrated or not, objectively, he scores on the scorecard very high. And that has to be recognized and appreciated.
So there's that. Thank you so much, Kirstin and Thomas. That was a wonderful conversation, and I was riveted by most of it. I really love the sketches that you intercut in there, Thomas. Some really great choices. I love the two boys that live in the house where they get hosed off by their parents. Those are great. Correct me if I'm wrong. Send me an email, thesnlhof@gmail.com, and tell me if I'm wrong. But was Beck's last sketch not the Vin Diesel parody impression rather? I feel like that was the 10-1. I feel like he went out on a 10-1. The guy was really a tour de force, and I enjoyed him a lot. Let's take a look now at a sketch that was alluded to in the episode. It's December to Remember with Heidi Gardner and that week's host, Timothy Chalamet. Enjoy.
Hey, Matt, I think there might be one more gift for your mom right there.
It hasn't been a normal year, so this Christmas, get her something extraordinary during the Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Nathan, you didn't.
With flexible financing at 0% APR, there's never been a better time to buy or lease a new Lexus.
Merry Christmas, baby.
Are you kidding me, Nathan? Did you seriously buy a car without asking me?
Well, because for Christmas...
This is a major purchase.
Right, but it was a December to remember.
It's a Lexus. We don't have the money for this, Nathan.
We don't?
No, we don't. Your father doesn't... Your father hasn't worked since last March.
What? Yeah, COVID has hit a lot of people hard, and I'm no exception.
Nathan, you got fired in March 2019. COVID had nothing to do with it.
Hey, pal, I guess your old man's busted.
It's beginning to look a lot like savings, so get to your local Lexus dealer today.
How much did you spend on this ridiculous car, Nathan?
It was only $39.99 to its signing. $4,000. It's not that much, babe.
And how much is the monthly payment?
The what?
Did you think this entire car cost $4,000?
Uh-huh.
There's a monthly payment.
Yeah, but with the 0% APR, I think it's all good.
APR? Do you mean APR?
I'm pretty sure it's APR.
Wow. Just wow.
Hey, come on, it's Christmas. This is good. I did a good thing for us. Let's enjoy it.
Dad, it's 9 in the morning.
So, it's not like I have work later. Come on.
Hey!
Hey, neighbor.
You bought a Lexus? You come to me 3 weeks ago. Oh, Mike, help me. I need money. I can't buy Christmas gifts for my family. My wife doesn't respect me.
I didn't say that.
My wife's cheating on me with everyone.
Mom, you are?
I want to look cool in front of my son's girlfriend.
Ew, Dad, is that why you pierced your ear?
No, I've had this forever.
I just need $5,000 to get back on my feet. And then you buy a Lexus?
Yeah, well, it was beginning to look a lot like savings at my local Lexus dealer.
I want my money back, man. Tomorrow.
Hey, Kathy.
What does that look?
You know what? We're taking this car back to the dealership now.
I better drive.
Maybe we stop by Jenna's on the way over, show her this cool car your dad got, huh?
Shut up.
Give the gift of Lexus and definitely talk it over first.
That was great. Beck is just so wonderful at being that confident man and then slowly devolving into like a blithering idiot. It's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch. And SNL, of course, is fun to watch. And that's why we're here each and every week as a tribute to a show that has stood the test of time. 50 years now, coming up very soon. Are you excited about the SNL movie Saturday night? Are you excited about the 50th season? Are you excited about our new show, SNL Hall of Fame Water Cooler? Send me an email. Let me know. And while I'm asking you favors, would you do me one more? And on your way out, as you pass the Weekend Update exhibit, turn out the lights, because the SNL Hall of Fame is now closed.
Thanks for listening to the SNL Hall of Fame podcast. Make sure to rate, review, share, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at SNL HOF. This is Doug DeNance saying, see you next week.
To podcasts and such.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So, while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.